This is John T for the Boxing Voice. I'm delighted to say I'm joined this evening by show regular Fabio Wardley. How are you, Fabio?
I'm good. How's things, John? How are we, mate?
Yeah, I'm really good, thanks, mate. Really good. Just got in from work, so I feel a bit smart, but
yeah,
chilling, really. So, look, before we go anywhere, how was Gibraltar as a whole? Did they embrace you, all the fighters? Was it a spectacle over there for them as it looked at us back over here?
Yeah, it really was. It really was. I think I felt so embraced, not only because it's been a while since we'd had fans and things, but just even generally on the weeks and stuff. When we were like where we were staying on the yacht and the boat and whatever, there was always fans kind of waiting outside and stuff and wanting to speak and wanting to get pictures and autographs and things like that. The whole place kind of really just embraced the whole event and really wanted to be part of it, and they just seemed like absolutely buzzing that they'd been able to have boxing on their own shores.
Yeah, I bet it was amazing for them because it obviously is a small country, isn't it? So to have a boxing event must have been great, but Eddie and Matchroom and you guys, obviously a massive thing for them. And the COVID restrictions over there, they seem to be a lot further along. I think they've all had jabs and that. So you even had fans at the fight. Was that right?
Yeah. So I think they're at the stage where they've, I don't know, like at least everyone's had one jab. I think something like that. I think that's the percentage they're at, which is obviously fantastic. So yeah, we were able to cram 500 fans into there, but all in the week, the same thing I was saying is that it would feel like 5,000, and it really did. It was just, it just felt so, I can't explain the feeling, how nice it feels just to like have a buzz. You can see everyone, they're a bit leery, they're a bit drunk, they're really enjoying it, like shouting and screaming, chants, a lot. So yeah, it was just such a fantastic event. I was buzzing just to have some noise back in the venue.
What was the boat like? Did you say you actually stayed on the boat?
Yeah.
It looked lovely.
Yeah, no, it was. This 5-star. So I'm the same. I keep getting told off because I keep calling it a boat, and everyone I talk to is like, "No, it's a 5-star yacht. Like, you need to give it a bit more credit." And I'm like, "Well, it's just a boat. Like, it floats. Like, what do you want from me?" But yeah. So we stayed there for the whole week. That was our hotel, and that's where our quarantine zone was. So where we had to stay. Obviously, the events like the press conference and the weigh-in and stuff we did at different places. But again, they're all all close by, with short little trips away. But yeah, it was a great place to stay. Really nice service, well looked after by everyone there. Highly recommend it, to be honest. It was quite nice.
Quality. It looked like a great experience for all of you. Right, well, let's get on to the important bit. Another win, and another knockout or another stoppage. So it's now up to 11, 0 defeats, 10 knockouts. Every time they seem to step you up, you just tick the box. How was the fight? Talk me through the experience.
Yeah, it was a good fight. It wasn't my best performance, not the one I'm most happy with. But ultimately, sometimes you have to have them nights. I think as time's gone on and things, like immediately after, obviously I was buzzing that I won and everything, but I was still quite unhappy with the performance of myself. But as time's gone on and things, and I've kind of reviewed it more in my own head and looked at it for the scale of what it is, I've been able to give myself a bit more credit for it, and be happier with it just overall as a performance. So yeah, it was a good performance. I did what I needed to do, got through it. We got through a few different kinds of challenges, adversities, little things we kind of had to work through and figure out on the night and stuff. But we got through those, passed those tests, and obviously finished with a nice knockout and got the win.
Excellent. You said you were a bit disappointed, or it wasn't your best. What did you learn on the night if something didn't go 100% to plan?
In terms of what I learned, it was just about, for me, trying to, I think on that one, and not necessarily let the occasion get to me, but because I was fine and I was completely comfortable, but it was always in the back of my head that it was a big fight for me. It was a big step. I was chief support. I wanted it to be worthy of the position of where it was on the card, and I wanted it to be a good fight, and I wanted it to be entertaining. It was a pay-per-view show and there was fans there, so there was a lot of expectation that came with it, and I wanted that performance to show that and kind of warrant all of those things. So maybe I forced a few things where I shouldn't have, and stepped into a few red zones where, again, I shouldn't have, did a few things wrong and stuff, all in the name of trying to force that interesting fight and making it worthy. So that's probably something that I learned, is that to just do your own thing, stick to the game plan, and to do your best on the night to come up with the W, obviously, that I did anyway. But if I can do that without a few mishaps in the meantime, it's obviously always better.
well analysed. So was he what you expected in terms of what, because we knew a lot about him, you know, and beforehand, I'm not sure there was much needle, but I did see an interview with him the week before where he was like, don't even know who he is. He was like getting a little bit, and I thought, look, you made a statement there because you still stopped him early, but it looked a bit awkward in a few parts.
Yeah, he's always a difficult one. It's hard because he's not very often in them particularly entertaining fights, or at least he hasn't been for the last few years. He's got quite a negative streak in him in terms of his approach to the fight. He kind of leans back. He's in that half kind of shell, and he wants to react off you and let you make a mistake and only ever kind of counter off. He never wants to lead the fight or lead forward or kind of take the initiative, which makes it difficult to, one, make it an interesting fight. It makes it difficult for it to be kind of have that nice rhythm and flow of back and forth of a good fight that it has. So there was a few problems and things in there. So we knew that. We thought maybe because of the occasion, because of the event, whatever. And he'd said in previous interviews and stuff like this is his last stand, his last big one. He really wants to kind of like, if this is the end, then go out on his shield kind of thing. And he said he was going to bring it all, and we just didn't see a lot of that, which is slightly disappointing. But again, it is what it is.
Yeah, and again, as you say, you learn. So even though you weren't 100% happy with it, you can go away, and that's something that maybe didn't happen before. The fight when I spoke to you after the Larty fight, we hoped you'd get a bit more of a test, and you didn't get anything. So at least you've learned from it, which is great. I was going to ask the question, I have my questions ready, where next? But we just quickly spoke before we went on camera. I believe today the British Boxing Board of Control have mandated Nick Webb for a shot at your English title. Is that right?
Yeah, they have indeed. They have indeed.
And where are we at with that then? So is that you're going to take it because it's mandated and you don't want to give the belt up? Is it that maybe you want to go for the British if that becomes free? There's
a few kind of, I will say, it's hard to say options. I wouldn't say necessarily options. Ideas is probably the best way. The me versus Nick Webb fight is perfectly fine. It's something that was immediately spoken about after both of our fights anyway. So it's something that we've both already kind of not agreed to, but we already knew that that's kind of the direction things were heading. We knew we was kind of heading towards each other. So the fight itself is not something that needs to be kind of negotiated or agreed. It's kind of, we're both partially already there. But in terms of the belt, the English title for me now, to defend it, almost with no disrespect to it, feels like a bit of a step back. I'd like to, or not even, I wouldn't call it a step back. It's just a step in the same place. I'm just standing still. Whereas I'd like to move forward. So if we can, again, in an ideal world, it would be for the British. But obviously Joe's hanging on to that at the moment. It's his right to, it's his belt. He can do what he likes with it. So that would have been the ideal world with me and Nick for the British. But if that's not there, then we have to look at other options in terms of other belts, something maybe international, something or something along those lines. Just something a little bit more to just spice it up and make it a bit more entertaining for the pair of us as well. Because I know after Nick's last fight, he won a title as well. I'm not sure what type of international. I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been an IBF international, something like that. But again, for him as well, I think something like the English would be a kind of a standing still moment for him. And he'd like to progress as well. He's obviously in his later years, so he's not got too long left in the game. So I guess he'd want to be pushing forward as well. So I think we're both on kind of the same page in that sense, and that we feel it's a good fight. We're both game for it, but we need a kind of a little bit more added incentive in terms of just kind of what's on the line.
And we'll look forward to that fight, where it'd be another good fight for both of you. Brilliant stuff. So going back to the card in Gibraltar, just good mates with Dillon, obviously. I can't not ask you what you thought there. A really great performance, do you think? Where does he go next?
Yeah, fantastic performance. Everything from him that we thought we would have got in the first one. But I've been saying again in interviews and stuff all week, I would speaking to Dillon on the phone and speaking to him on social media and stuff. I didn't spend obviously any time in Portugal in his preparations for this fight, but just speaking to him regularly, I could feel the undertone of that extra aggression, that extra spite and stuff that he was going to bring to the fight, and we all saw it on the night. So it's fantastic for him. So he's always going to be in a good, entertaining fight. So in terms of what's next for him, is a difficult one because I think everyone's still waiting to see what happens with the Joshua Fury thing, and then kind of that will ripple out effect of kind of then where we go with who can fight who next and where else. So it's a bit of a waiting game for a lot of us at the moment. We'll all just kind of see what's going on, and then we can all make our moves and make our plans. But regardless of what he does, Dill's always in entertaining fights, and it'll always be a great night.
Yeah, personally for me, I think if the AJ Fury fight does get made, I'm getting a bit nervous to be fair, because it's just being dragged out, and I'm sure it will. But if it does, I like the look of Dillon against Deontay. I think that's the next big fight there, and I think if he beats Deontay, yeah, then he's a real big statement there if he's not knocking on the door already. One last one I always like to ask just before I let you go is the upcoming card at the weekend. So we've got a Brit with a chance for a world title. So Liam Williams has gone out to America. It's on a Matchroom USA card. So Demetrius Andrade, the American. How do you see that fight going? Who do you think wins that?
It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I'll always want to back a Brit. I will always want to back a Brit, but I just think Andrade's skill set is very difficult. And an awkward one, and not something I think Liam's really come across too often. Don't get me wrong; he's an absolute bulldozer. He can run through most people, but when you get in with someone like Andrade, who's quite slick, quite skillful, quite awkward as well, they can just throw you off that kind of bulldozer rhythm and just keep offsetting you and keep you on the move and keep you on the spin, and it's just uncomfortable to find your feet under you and really get set. So, but like I said, I'd want Liam to win, so I'd back him to win, but we'll see on the night.
Good stuff. Another 50-50 fight, I think, so I look forward to that. Well, look, thanks for your time as always, Fabio. Really appreciate it. We'll be in contact, hopefully around the time when you're fighting Nick, maybe get you in just before or just after, but good luck, okay?
No worries, mate. Cheers. Thank you.
Enjoy the video. Feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, from title, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.